Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, April the 28th. Happy Monday to you. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Coming off an exciting draft weekend. Speaking of exciting draft stuff, we did recap the draft with your president of football operations, Chad Brinker, and your first-year GM, having gone through his first draft as the Titans GM, Mike Borgonzi, earlier today. So we've got some takeaways to dive into, a couple of different things that we learned about this football team, and at least the plan on how they are going to support Cam Ward, which of course becomes the most important topic of conversation. And I think there's a couple of different ways that they plan to do that. So we'll look forward to sharing those things with you together. And getting into our biggest takeaways, we'll see if Bert, are you awake? Are you ready for your segment? It's Monday, buddy. You have to do your segment. No, that's just already. I mean, he literally just hit go live and then fell asleep on me. I don't know if is that called narcolepsy? Is where you just fall asleep in random places, or is that the opposite?
That's where you tattletale on people too much.
Oh, I woke up for that one, didn't you, son of a bitch? Anyway, we will have a fun show tonight. We always have a fun show, so we're happy to have you guys as a part of the process. We will dive in together and see what we learned from today's Titans recap press conference. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Zen Sports, rather by VIP Play. VIP Play is going to be what Zen Sports becomes, as a matter of fact, and we'll tell you more about why that's an exciting bit of news here in just a little bit. No promo codes yet, but you can certainly get to know the VIP Play app at VIPplayapp.com. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service, tworiversford.com. Bart Durham Injury Law, you deserve to be paid, and their experts will put you on the path to success. BartDurham.com for more information. And TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch, where your first workout is free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated. So, plenty of things to take away from today's draft recap press conference. And as we get ready for rookie minicamp, which is right around the corner, as we get ready for the live show with Titans head coach Brian Callahan and Greg Cosell on Friday. I'm shocked that this show is already on our doorstep. And ironically enough, I still have just a few tickets remaining for that. So 1045thezone.com is where you go. You can hang out with Titans head coach Brian Callahan. We're going to give you guys the opportunity to ask coach questions, which is a big part of that. We also, as I mentioned last night, we are going to have draft evaluations for you guys from Cosell to follow along. 1045thezone.com. Bert will drop the link in the live stream chat for you. So as we get ready for the live show on Friday, which is the next step of the football process for us before rookie minicamp gets underway, there was a great deal to learn from Chad Brinker and from Mike Borgonzi about how exactly this draft went down. So I guess the question that we'll start with, your Two Rivers Ford take, as is perpetually the case, is how much has the Titans roster actually improved? A lot, a little, or not at all? I think it's an interesting question for you to kind of chew on and learn more about or understand more about and kind of take it through. I think it's going to be interesting to see how you guys run those things through your expectations, right? I don't know what your expectations for the 2025 Titans are. I think some of you are cautiously optimistic. I think some of you are totally unrealistic. I think most of you are kind of level-headed about this circumstance. But as you sit here and think about the 9 players, they did add 9 players. They went into this draft process or started before they started making trades around for different players and moving on from Ernest Jones and picking up additional draft capital in the draft. They started with 5 picks. They ended up with 9 picks, which is a good place for them to exist. It's them working towards their goal of trying to make sure that they have 30 picks in the next 3 drafts and preferably 12 in the top 100. And they talked a little bit about the compensatory pick objective that comes years down the road once you start to establish that you've got players that you can't afford to pay because you've already got so many good players. So other teams start paying your good players that allow you to recoup some compensatory draft capital, which is what the best organizations do. The Ravens famously do comp picks very, very well. The Titans have had a dearth of comp picks I'm trying to think of the last comp pick. I want to say John Robinson's 2017 draft, maybe, the last time that they had comp picks. It's been a long, long time. But point being, as you think about the Titans and think about what they've got on the roster prior to the draft and what they've since added during the draft, how much better is the roster actually? A lot, a little, or not at all? We will talk about it together as your Two Rivers Ford Take. It's presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer, who you know is Two Rivers Ford. And you know, because I've been telling you this, they've got employee pricing for everyone right now. Two Rivers always makes sure the car buying process is fast, easy, and more fun. And it's even better when you pay what they pay on almost every new Ford on the lot. So you can go out to Mount Juliet. You can view any number of their vehicles on site. You can go online at tworiversford.com and learn more about their inventory and see just how much work employee pricing for everyone can do for you. tworiversford.com for more information there. So Bert says 2022, they got two for Daquan Jones and Corey Davis when they left to go sign with Buffalo and the Jets, respectively. Bert says that they had one the year before for Conklin. So Conklin walked in 20, which means they had a compensatory pick in 21, and then they had compensatory picks in 22. Be curious to go back and look what became of those compensatory picks, because famously John Robinson's last handful of drafts were not the most successful. So some compensatory, I'm being a bit dramatic when I said, the first couple of John Robinson drafts, it was obviously in the latter half. But still, it's not like, John, for the most part, he didn't retain players that he drafted in the first round specifically. And that started to depreciate, especially when a lot of those players, you were not getting fair draft compensation or fair compensatory pick compensation for. So as you think about how much better your roster actually is, a lot, a little, or not at all, what is your answer about how much better this Titans roster actually got? For me, I had to think about this, and I'm gonna let you guys hear from Chad Brinker, who opened the press conference today, talking about what they went out and added in this particular draft and what the emphasis was.
We're not going to comment on any of the undrafted free agents at this time. We're still working through a lot of things. They'll be available to you here at rookie minicamp, so you get plenty of time to talk to those guys and learn about them as well. They got to go through a lot still to get, we got physicals and signing contracts, so we're just not going to comment on them at this time. Also, you may be wondering with a new regime change that you're wondering about staff changes. We're still working through all that, so we don't have anything to comment regarding the staff at this time as well. But we are working through those things. But speaking of the staff, I thought the group did an outstanding job. It's been a long 3 months. We spent a lot of time in what we call the cave together, watching a lot of tape. This is a new process. A lot of people weren't familiar with it. It's rigorous. It can be tiring. It's a lot of late nights. And I really commend Mike Bergonzi and his staff for the work that they put in and what they have done. And I think it showed over the weekend. Mike, he led this draft process. And this is the first time I've worked with Mike, and we've worked together. And it just felt like we've been working together for many years. It was really seamless. It was good dialogue throughout. I think you can go into a draft in peace, knowing when you put the work in on the front end, and you're able to, like a good quarterback does, when you get thrown something at you weren't expecting, you have all that training in your background to adjust and try to make the right decision in a split second. And I saw some of that from Mike over the weekend as well, and I just was really impressed with him. And I think y'all had an opportunity to talk to Dave and Reggie, and also our two national scouts, Sam and Mike, and hopefully you got a little bit of a glimpse of what our staff looks like, and hopefully you're impressed with them, because this is a really good group that works really well together. we went into this season, I think we had 5 draft picks, and by the end of the draft, we ended up with 9 players. 8 of those 9 came from the Power 4 schools, and we're just really excited about what we were able to add over the weekend. It's important to us that we were going to build this thing with a strong foundation, and I think it was well documented on the character of these individuals that we brought into this football team. Now, it's going to be upon them. They got to come in here. The NFL is a tough business, and we expect them to come in and learn how to be a pro and be the guys that we think they can be to really help change the culture around here. And I know that takes some time, but it starts with getting really good football players in here who are also really good people. So we're excited about the guys we drafted. We'll go ahead and turn questions over to you all, and whoever you want to talk about, we'll hit on all those for you, both Mike and I. Thank you.
Were there some kind of broad themes you think through this entire group, Chad? I know you mentioned character. Are there some other characteristics that sort of define this group as a whole, do you think?
Yeah, big, fast, tough football players who love winning more than anything else. I mean, that's a Titan. I really want I think over time, as you see how this unfolds, you might be able to draft them for us ahead of time, because you're going to see that looks like a Titan. There's definitely a DNA we're looking for in our players, and that's I think everybody wants that, but it's hard to find. You got to do a lot of work, and hopefully, those guys that we're bringing in here will prove us right.
So that is Chad Brinker's opening statement, and then the first question about, this kind of draft class and what it embodies and the kind of things that they were emphasizing. A to Z Sports Prime Time is made possible by the wonderful people at VIP Play, which is a great new product that I'm excited to tell you guys more about. And the launch details are going to be exciting because VIP Play will offer 200 plus leagues to wager on and all of your favorite bet types. If you've heard of Live Now, but you have not yet experienced it, Live always on VIP Play. They also give you the VIP Players Club sweepstakes. Every bet you make on VIP Play gets you entries into their monthly sweepstakes. You'll earn 1 entry per bet, 1 entry per dollar bet, and 10 times your entries on parlays and same game parlays. The VIP Play app coming soon to Tennessee exclusively. To learn more and claim your early welcome bonus or VIP Players Club status, head to VIPPlayApp.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet. So that is Chad Brinker talking about, detailing at some length a couple of different things about all the different ways that they tried to explore improving this roster. And so it comes back to the crux of my question. Ben Hall says, is it normal to not comment on UDFAs? Yeah, pretty standard, because, something could be out there on Twitter. Before maybe you get the opportunity to give a player a physical, you've got to get these guys in here. You may not have had any exposure to them whatsoever, and it's just a bit of a mad dash after the draft. So there's a bunch of different things that can fall through, and I think it is pretty standard to not comment on UDFAs immediately. Or the day, I guess it's 2 days removed from the actual end of draft press conference that we did on Saturday night with the national scouts. Typically, we do that with the GM and the coach, but they decided that they needed that time for the UDFA process, and that's completely fine. And I think Titans fans would probably forgive them for that, given the kind of UDFAs, including Xavier Restrepo, that they were able to bring in. So it is pretty standard that would be the case. All that to say, a lot, a little, or not at all. How much did the Titans roster actually improve? It's impossible for me to say that it did not improve at all when you added a player who I truly believe in at the most important position. The floor, and I talked about this today on radio, I talked about this last night on primetime, the floor for this team is higher than it has been in the past couple of years, which is a good step in the right direction. I don't think they're a lot better. I think that a lot of these players that they've brought in will be good football players, but it's not going to be an immediate impact, even though those guys are going to contribute right away. All of these guys are going to play in some form or fashion. We know how the NFL churns through bodies. We know how much longer the season is. We understand that there are so many different ways that throughout the course of an NFL regular season with injury or roster attrition or guys getting benched for performance, as has been the case here for the last couple of years, young dudes are going to play even if they're not ready to play in some form or fashion at every position. So I think that while there might be contributions this year, I don't know how much I expect from those players to actually improve this football team beyond raise their floor in their rookie season. Cam Ward is obviously a different subject, but when you look at the rest of them, a project pass rusher in Femi Oladejo, a safety in Kevin Winston Jr., who Mike Borgonzi said today they had a top of second round grade on, and they ended up getting him later in the third, which they felt pretty good about the value. He should be ready to go for training camp. No issues about the medical there, even though he missed last year with an ACL tear. That ACL tear happened in like September. You get into day 3, the 4 pass catchers that they added with the wide receivers, with the running back, with the corner, and the guard / center, depending on how he ends up working his way into the lineup or how he ends up working his way into the depth chart in Jackson Slater. These are players who I think at some point in their careers will be able to contribute right away. Now, maybe their secondary or their safety room is not infallible. You could theoretically see Kevin Winston Jr. starting in a situation like this. We fully expect Cam Ward to start. One of these wide receivers is probably going to get a significant target share, even if they're not an outright starter by means of like the literal definition, where a starter is described as, all right, who is on the field for the first offensive snap? Who is literally starting the game on offense for the Titans? Doesn't mean that they are a starter conventionally. It just means, all right, what was the personnel grouping? Did they have 2 tight ends out there? Okay, so 2 tight ends started the game, right? We put it's just a little bit of nuance as far as how to accurately describe starter. So these guys, these young wide receivers, hell, Gunnar Helm may even start a game, depending on how this ends up playing out. We will see how their season goes. We'll see how their health holds up. We'll see how the guys that they brought in or the incumbents handle the additional competition. They're bringing in young guys to compete. They're bringing in strong personality types, strong leadership types, as you heard Chad Brinker describe there, to kind of push the pile, not to be cliche about it. So, Toby, the Titan says a lot and a little is pretty subjective. Is 2 to 3 more wins a lot when that is 2 times last year? Yeah, but I'm not talking about wins and losses. You can that can be your definition, Toby. That's entirely fine. But if they won 3 games again, then you would have serious issues and people are probably getting fired. But I'm not looking at them to double their win total necessarily, and me just assume, all right, that's better. Because theoretically, all they have to do is not turn the ball over 34 times, and they're probably a 5 to 6 win football team last year, right? But they did. They tied for the league lead in giveaways last year, 34 between them and the Browns, both each having 34. And their starting quarterback for the bulk of the season, Will Levis, was responsible for 18 individual giveaways, which is crazy. So, I don't know. Is that substantial improvement is that a lot of improvement if they go to 5 to 6 wins? No, because they should have had 5 to 6 wins last year. They just shit the bed royally. I guess what I'm looking for here is, the actual talent and the skill of the roster, the thing that's been their biggest issue, the reason why you were in this mess. Your roster has sucked for the last 3 seasons. It has fallen off a cliff from the last most competitive season, which was 2021, even though in 2022, as you'll famously remember, they started 7-3. So all that to say that I'm talking about the roster. Wins and losses is how you can evaluate them if you want to. Obviously, they cannot win just 3 games and be considered a better football team if that's what happens again this year. There will be consequences of that. But if they win 5 games and they do it looking about like they did last year, is that actually an improved roster, or did their turnover luck just get a little better? Like, did they actually raise the floor of their football team? Because you could have argued that the floor was 6.5 last year. Vegas would have told you that the floor was 6.5 last year, and they even couldn't have predicted. Vegas, who predicts all pretty accurately, could not have predicted Will Levis shitting the bed as badly as he did as a starter. So I would say that the roster, the total talent of the roster is improved a little. A lot of improvement to me would indicate sniffing around, the 7 to 10, the 8 and 9 range. I don't think they're getting over 500 this year. I still think they probably are the worst roster in the division. Even though I certainly like their quarterback more coming in than I did Anthony Richardson, for example. I feel better about Cam Ward having a more impactful presence on the Titans roster in his rookie year than Anthony Richardson has in his first 2 seasons at this point in time. So Bobby Carter says 5 to 7 wins and noticeable development is something that he would consider a lot of improvement. Jack Ripper says, I bet we are better, much better. Okay. Are you just saying that because you're excited and you haven't lost a game yet? And if you pee down your leg week 1, is that going to change your tune like that? I'm not going to make any definitive evaluations, or I'm not going to bet on them I don't bet on NFL anyway for ethical purposes. But I am looking at the most important position and seeing a clear and obvious upgrade at the quarterback situation. Mo Francois with some complete nonsense says 10 wins easy. The quarterback upgrade is incredible. Don't do that to that man. It's the NFL. There's plenty of higher touted or quarterbacks, drafted quarterbacks with better pedigrees than Cam Ward, who have come in here and not succeeded at that high level. Do not make Jaden Daniels the standard when that probably wouldn't happen. If you ran that scenario 100 more times through, it would probably not happen that way 99 out of 100. And they just happen to get into a place where they got the one percentile season out of Jaden Daniels. Maybe you're joking around. Maybe you're just, being funny about, and you can, like, I'm not gonna begrudge you that or anything like that. You can pick them to win as many games as you want to win, but like realistically, guys, come on. If they won 6 games, as somebody pointed out earlier, it would be doubling their win total. That would be a huge improvement. Jack says, what's Buck going to say when we win 9 games? I'll be stunned. I would be shocked. I would be very surprised. I would be, depending on how they got there and who they played and how those other teams looked in those games. Again, the context of this matters. If they won 9 games, though, it would be an unmitigated success. But I don't think they're going to win 9 games. And that's, just because that's my position and me trying to keep a more level head than I did for last year, for example, because you guys were real butthurt when I said, yeah, I'd probably pick them to go 7 and 10. And then they were the worst team in football because you thought you were sold a false bill of goods, because I thought that they would be better than they were. So I'm not going to do that again, right? And then you can say, well, you didn't believe in us. You're damn right I didn't. You've been a shitty football team. You've been a shitty football organization for the past 4 years, and I'm not going to believe in you until you prove me wrong otherwise. You have to earn back that trust, that respect, and not just draft a bunch of players, add 9 players to the roster and say, oh, we're going to win 10 games next year. Don't be one of those people. Okay. You can be whatever you want to be, but don't gaslight me with, what are you going to say when we win 9 games? I don't know. You're going to win 9 games. It's been a long time since you won 9 games, bud. You better figure it out. So all these different things that you have to take into consideration for the Titans and how much better the roster actually is. I think the floor is significantly higher for the roster. That doesn't mean that that's going to be an immediately better football team, but I don't think their plan is to be immediately better. I think that they're going to take their time and make sure that they get it right with building up this roster to a point where you can talk about, all right, the expectation is 9 to 10 wins, competing for the top of the division in the AFC South, in a division that's pretty weak at this point. So I think it's okay to hope for the best and feel pretty good about things without getting carried away, right? Don't get carried away. And don't kill Cam Ward just because you pick them to win 9 or 10 games or something like that. And then he understandably goes through any number of bumps and bruises that any rookie quarterback does. As long as he continues to show or proves that he is worthy of the number 1 overall draft pick throughout the course of his rookie season, that's still improvement. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So all that to say, I think that they are marginally improved, and that marginal improvement is how they're going to start to actually rebuild this team the way that so many of you wanted them to actually, tear it down to the studs and build it back up. That's what they're trying to do. So keep your expectations relative based on that. All right, biggest takeaways. What was your biggest takeaway from the post-draft press conference today with Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi? There's a bunch of little tidbits that came out of there, and we will discuss at length as you want in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You guys do that, and I'll tell you that True Math Fitness in the Gulch is where you go to get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident, because you know that they don't recycle workouts on you. You know they bring all manner of different programming to make sure that you're maximizing your fitness goals. And that's something that they do in their personal training, their group fitness classes. They also have a top-of-the-line facility for you to work out as you please with your TrueMath membership. TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. All right. I think that Jack is continuing to, provide hope, traffic, and propaganda. Says Buck is a negative Nancy, such a sad soul. No, dude, I just, this is my 9th NFL season. I've seen plenty of teams who you think are going to be better shit the bed. I've seen plenty of teams that you have no expectation of whatsoever end up being significantly better. I'm just not going to, I'm not going to gaslight people the way that you want to gaslight people. And if you want to gaslight people, that's fine. I just think that's stupid to do on April 28th when you're coming off literally the worst season that you've had since Ken Wisenhunt was your coach. Okay. That's how anybody is comfortable puffing out their chest after a 3-14 season just because you went through a draft is stupid to me. But if you want to be that way, then you can be that way. I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to do it. But anyway, all the different things that you learned from the press conference today, the question becomes, all right, what was the biggest takeaway that you had from the post-draft press conference? In the comment section, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. We'll talk about it together, as I mentioned. In fact, let's hear one of the things that was asked today of Mike Borgonzi specifically about Will Levis.
Or maybe the interest in Will during the draft and just him still being on roster. What does that say about his value with the team?
It's a lot of value. I think, there's going to be competition in every room, and he elevates the competition in that room. That's what we're trying to do here as we get into training camp, is have the best 90-man roster, best competition in every room, and Will certainly provides that.
Was there an attempt to move him during the draft?
There was not.
I guess that's kind of my question is quarterback position. How you feel like you are with 4 guys in the room? How much you looking forward to just seeing how things kind of play out as we get closer to the season?
Yeah, that'll it's a great room we have right now with those 4 guys. That'll be up to Brian and his staff in terms of reps and as we go through the off season and get into training camp. But we'll take it step by step here, and that'll be up to Brian in terms of who takes what reps at some point. So we're not going to name any starters here though that right now here in the off season.
So that's Mike Borgonzi talking about Will Levis and then the quarterback room that they think that Will Levis brings competition to. So I've maintained this position the whole way through. I never thought it made sense to trade Levis or that Levis would get legit interest during the NFL draft. I don't think there's any scenario where Will Levis is not on this roster, at least, into training camp. If he plays well in the preseason, well enough for a team to throw them I don't know. What are you hoping for right now? A 6th? I think it's a pipe dream to wish for a 5th, but I suppose it could always happen. It's still the most important position in sports. There is good in having competition. Cam Ward is certainly going to be a competitor, and I think that if they just get rid of Will Levis for the sake of getting rid of Will Levis and bring Cam Ward in there, where indisputably he's going to be better than Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle, and indisputably he's going to be better than Will Levis. Though again, there will be some bumps and bruises. There will be some learning curves there. There is nothing about the Will Levis situation that makes sense to me, the idea of moving him during the draft. It just never made sense. So I think that there is going to be, it's not going to be like an outright quarterback competition. Cam Ward is going to be the starter for the Tennessee Titans. It's just how much Will Levis is going to push them or push him, or how much you can actually get out of Will Levis at this point in time, if you can kind of reignite what you saw in Levis, if you did see something in Levis, and Chad Brinker, by the way, was here when they drafted Will Levis at this point, I am looking at the Titans and thinking, okay, well, it doesn't mean that you still can't move him before roster cut day so that you don't have to outright cut him. You wouldn't like to eat money to get rid of Will Levis just to do that, even if he's not the most reliable backup quarterback. Ben Hall says, is keeping Levis around potentially toxic? I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I think what is that going to do? Have a bad impact on Cam Ward? Have you seen these Cam Ward interviews and the way that he carries himself, the way that he practices, the way that he plays? I don't think Cam Ward gives a single solitary shit who's in the quarterback room with him. I think he's going to try to take their head off one way or the other in respectful and friendly competition, while still trying to steal their soul and make sure that it's his job and nobody else's. I think that's just how Cam Ward's wired, and that's exactly who you're looking for there. So if it's toxic for anybody, it's toxic for Levis. But I don't think I don't think you guys are overwhelmingly worried about it. Max Titan says it would be awkward. Why would it be awkward? There's nothing awkward about it. What's awkward is the performance last year. What's awkward is the fact that he was bad enough that they had the number 1 overall pick and that they decided to spend it on the quarterback because he was so bad last year. There's nothing awkward about it. Guys are brought in every year in the NFL. Guys are expected to compete. It wasn't awkward when they drafted Malik Willis to come in behind Ryan Tannehill. The only reason that it was made seem any kind of awkward is because people took Ryan Tannehill's words about not my job to mentor, which is the exact thing you're supposed to say in those situations. You're not supposed to mentor. You're supposed to compete. That's how these guys are wired. So if you want to apply your sensibilities and say, and that's how you would feel in that situation, that's fine. But these guys are professional competitors. Football, while it's not the ultimate meritocracy, because there are still things that people get given. Will Levis got given the Titans starting quarterback job last year. That was not a meritocracy. There was an argument to be made that he was not the best quarterback on the roster the entire way through. And then that ended up playing itself out by the time we got to actual games. That was not a meritocracy situation. They came in with the desire to build around Will Levis. They spent $228 million around Will Levis, and they moved forward and made a terrible, terrible mistake. But I think at the end of the day, it's business. These guys understand it. It's been their existence their entire lives. And if that's not something that they can handle, then they wouldn't be on an NFL roster in the first place. They are at their core competitors. They expect to compete. They expect for competition to be brought in. If you do not have that expectation, then you are entitled in the NFL world, which, if you paid attention to the Shedeur Sanders saga at all, entitlement is about the worst thing that you can have as a professional football player. And teams will continue to pass on you because if you're entitled, you don't think you have to prepare the same way. You don't think you have to lead the same way. That is the more toxic thing than anything, not bringing in competition, gifting players. The worst thing that you can do for a player is just give him a job for the sake of giving him a job, just because he happens to be the player that you go about it. So it is the way that they're going to go about it. They are going to have Will Levis compete with Cam Ward. They are going to try and push Cam Ward as much as humanly possible, because that's exactly what they should do. That's how it's done, or that's how it should be done. This is not you applying your high school schoolgirl sensibilities to it. These are professional athletes at the highest level of football, and they are coming in there, regardless of who they are, to try and kick somebody's ass and take, as football players have described it, take food off somebody else's table. All right, that's the kind of person you're talking about, not Max Titan with his fragility about, it'll be a little awkward. It's football. Get the hell over it. All right. So with all the different things that you've got going on, Levis was one of the takeaways. Another takeaway for me in particular was, the obvious. Tehran, I believe, asked Chad Brinker about Treylon Burks, where he is in the process. He brought up, Brinker said that, Treylon was rehabbing, and Tehran said, well, I assume you guys are not going to pick up the fifth-year option. Brinker said, haven't made any final decisions on that, but yeah, probably not. So to be expected, but just to get somebody on the record with the Titans organization on that. is something that we also learned today. Tyler, yeah, Ching Bang making fun of people who are worried about it being awkward at the quarterback room. Oh my God, awkward. Mean Girls Titans edition. Yeah, what's Will Levis going to do? Look around and say, "Well, you can't sit with us, Cam Ward." Oh my God, that's so awkward. What are they going to do? This is dumb shit. Tyler Brown says, "Buck, what's your favorite pick that isn't Cam Ward?" It's a good question. I think, the 8 other players that they picked besides Cam Ward, who was my favorite pick? Manor, and I'm going to say that 17 million different ways, I'm certain, throughout the course of his career until I get it down consistently enough. So I apologize if I'm pronouncing Alec's last name incorrectly. It's probably him, given that he had, by most people's assessments, and again, I don't know what their draft board looked like, so they may not have had him graded as high as people externally did. I would say that with Alec Yomenor, the Stanford wide receiver, a lot of people, including Dane Brugler, who I trust damn near implicitly with his draft evaluation. I haven't asked Cosell about it yet. I'm looking forward to Greg sending me his evaluations. But it's probably him because they had him, most places had him a 3rd or 4th round pick, and they got him at the end. He's basically a 5th round pick when they were able to add him at this point in time. Was he a 5th round pick, actually? Was he the last of their 4th round picks, or was he the top of the 5th round? I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. He was, the bottom of the 4th round, 136 for the Stanford wide receiver. So I think they ended up having a valuation on him that you felt pretty confident in, and then they were able to get good value out of it, and they were able to trade up for him without giving up a pick in the process of trading up. I'm still confused as to why they ended up. Why the Ravens ended up. Bert, have you explained this to me? Why the Ravens did not require, why they just basically did a pick swap with the Titans in that way? Because I know that we had a conversation about it maybe last night before the show, but I can't remember exactly your explanation.
So Eric kind of talked about it in his press conference that they wanted to take the tackle out of Alabama A&M right there, but they thought they could move back a couple spots. There was a large gap between their next pick, and they still wanted us to take him there because they didn't think they could get him from his next one. So I think he just wanted to trade back and get what he could, which ended up being like 5 spots up in the 6th round.
Okay, so not the end of the world. Thank you for the explanation, Bert. We'll look forward to it in case you missed it. Thank you for being
I can't just knock it out right now.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Wait.
Okay, hell yeah.
Let me remind people that what you got somewhere to be? What am I? I mean, am I keeping you from your potatoes that you were making earlier while we were trying to pep the show? All right, we'll get to in case you missed it with Robert right after I remind you that the primetime program made possible by Bart Durham Injury Law. You deserve to be paid, and the experts at BartDurham.com have been doing this for over 75 years for Tennesseans and people in Kentucky. To BartDurham.com for more information, whether it be a personal injury or an automobile accident. If you deserve compensation, they're the ones to get it done. BartDurham.com. All right, get your ass back on screen.
Hell yeah. All right, so I'm actually pretty surprised. Titans fans, the whole offseason have been complaining, whiny, bitchy, and this is
please, like you got to deal with them. You. Have you seen the kind of dipshittery that's existing in the comment section today? They're worried about how awkward the quarterback room's going to get. I still can't get over how lacking of awareness some of these people are. But you go ahead and tell me how bitchy Titans fans have been about all
No,
this.
I think Seth's pretty smart, actually. Buck, serious, legit question. Where is the zoo video? Buck, will you tell them where the zoo video is?
I have no idea what you're talking about. What zoo video?
Go to the
Are
104.5
you
The
into
Zone.
bestiality now? Is that what if we scroll through your browser, we're going to find some untoward videos at this point in time? What are you talking about here? What zoo video?
The zoo video that you were a part of. Go to the 104.5 The Zone YouTube page. You can check us out going to the zoo and talking to animals and having a big time. But I bring up the Titans fans being happy with their pick because you would think like good teams The Bills draft, for instance, is universally liked. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, they had a great draft, had a lot of great players." But Bills fans,
Vrabel, you want to needle Titans fans a little more. Mike Vrabel and Ryan Cowden getting a lot of love for their draft, and I loved their draft too.
and when is the last time someone drafted a long snapper and a kicker, and everybody was like, "That was a great draft"? Oh wow! Usually, if someone drafts either one of those positions, we're like, you couldn't have added somebody, you couldn't have signed somebody. So truly a Mike Vrabel draft.
Yes.
But the Bills fans, back to them, they are very upset. Apparently, they are upset that they did not add a weapon for Josh Allen a little bit quicker. And Brandon Bean was coming on the show, and he was pretty hot about it.
No, it was. It was. I was just listening to the last few minutes of your show before I came on, waiting on here.
All right.
Sounds like 2018 all over with you guys.
Well, we're very – how so?
Well, you guys were bitching in 2018 about Josh Allen. You guys wanted Josh Rosen, and now you guys are bitching that we don't have a receiver. I don't get it. Like, we just scored – hold on, let me talk. We just scored 30 points in a row for 8 straight games. A year ago, I get you guys asking why we didn't have receivers, but I don't understand it now. You just saw us lead the league in points when you add all the postseason. No one scored more points than the Buffalo Bills, including the Super Bowl champions. So you just saw us do it without Stephon Diggs, same group. How is this group not better than last year's group? Our job is to score points and win games. Where do we need to get better? Defense. We did that. So I get it. You got to have a show, and you got to have something to bitch about. But bitching about wide receiver is one of the dumbest arguments I've heard.
Okay.
You're mad. You're mad as hell. Oh, you're so mad. Oh, you're
You got
so
a piece
mad.
of their ass.
You could tell the younger dude was like a scolded puppy. Like he was not happy to be there.
Yeah. They're probably both Bills fans. If by the way, have two people ever looked more like Buffalo, New York sports talk radio hosts than Tweedledee and Tweedle Dipshit here? Let me look at this video again.
No, it was. It was. I was just listening to the last few minutes of your show before I came on, waiting on here.
All right.
Sounds like 2018 all over with you guys.
Well, we're very – how so?
Well, you guys were bitching in 2018 about Josh Allen. You guys wanted Josh Rosen, and now you guys are bitching.
Oh, my God. Why is our industry filled with so many homely fat people? Why?
Stop talking about people like that. I'm part of the whole
I know,
community. What are
I'm
you talking? It's like, oh, let me look out. Can I tell?
I just don't understand why every person, like, I know that people get on my ass because I like to wear nice clothes and I get Botox because I don't want to look like a saggy piece of shit for the rest of my life. But like, why does the rest of our profession have to look like they don't give a? I almost said a terrible word. But they don't give a damn about what they look like or what anybody thinks that they look like, because those are two disgusting looking human beings. Maybe 3.5, 3.25.
All right. How long do you think that interview went for? How long do you like? I need to go find
I bet it didn't last very long.
Like, I'm putting the over under at 6 minutes. That's how long that thing, the whole end to end video is. When I find it tomorrow, we'll figure this out. But
Benjamin,
I don't know how
Buck
you
says,
recover
Buck,
from that.
you were those people once. Yeah, but like any smart person who starts to make enough money in their life, you start to realize, no, you're not ugly, you're just poor. So you invest a little bit. You put some back in. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. You got to keep everything upright.
All right, I'm done. Bye.
Get off my screen. I'm glad you were awake for that one. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight here. Ann Herndon says, clarify that because they care what the women in the industry look like. God knows. I can't imagine. But to be a woman in sports media has to be an unmitigated hell, other than it being one of the coolest jobs in the world. I'm sure a lot of days it's not worth all the bullshit you got to put up with, because they do not let women age on television, and they'll let, respectfully to Vern Lundquist, who was an excellent broadcaster for a long, long time. Vern started to look like Jabba the Hutt at the end of it. They'll leave that on television. Two Americas. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. We had a good show. We had a fun show. Even though some of you made some silly comments, you're going to watch the tape and improve. And we'll look forward to getting back after it tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone. We will have a lot of different discussions regarding your players. We're going to go through some of the highlights of these players' collegiate careers tomorrow specifically and get into some additional details on why they ended up fitting the bill of what they mean to be a Titan. Now, Ann Herndon is just calling out what men in sports media look like, which I thoroughly enjoy at this point in time. Anyway, we could do that for days and days on end. Anyway, 10 a.m. 104.5 The Zone. We're looking forward to seeing you there. We will also look forward to seeing you on Friday, May the 2nd. I'm doing a live podcast. I'm hosting a live podcast. I'm hosting it with your head coach, Brian Callahan, and your favorite NFL analyst, Greg Cosell. We'll have a great time. 250 of you guys are going to be in the house on Friday and the Analog Room in the Hutton Hotel. We've got Hattie B's Catering. We've got Two Rivers Ford, a part of the fun. We've got what is it? Is it Monkey Shoulder Whiskey? Is that the whiskey that we've got going on? And Milagro Tequila. We've got a full bar. It's going to be an excellent night. It's always an excellent night. Benjamin Buck says, is there free booze? There is free booze if you bought the VIP ticket. If you did not buy the VIP ticket, then you will have to pay for your drinks there. But that's what it is at this point in time. You can still get in the door for just $35 on 1045thezone.com until those tickets are gone. We'll let you know when they're gone, but right now there are still a few available. Have a great rest of your evening. I will see you tomorrow morning on 1045 The Zone at 10 a.m.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes.